Hi guys, and welcome to another episode of Pep Talk on the Joe Maxwell Show. I am your host, Joe Maxwell. Today we're going to be talking about yet another interesting topic as usual. We will be talking about you as a brand. Hello ladies.
Hi.
Hi, thanks Wookie, thanks Ronke for coming today.
Thank you for having us.
Amazing, great. Before we go into today's topic, I'm just going to give you guys 60 seconds of pitch yourself. What do you do?
So I'm a hair and makeup artist with over 20 years experience in this industry. I do private clients, editorials, weddings, custom-made wigs. So I do that as a business, and I'm my brand. So I'm my brand.
Brilliant. I love that. That just ties in neatly into today's topic, isn't it? Over to you, Ronke.
I'm a PR consultant. I'm the founder of Arietta Public Relations. So I work with a lot of small business owners and entrepreneurs working on their media relations, public relations, reputation management, crisis communication, not crisis sometimes, and overall strategy when it comes to communications. And it's been an exciting journey.
Exciting. Lovely. Thank you so much, guys. As you can see, we do have the brand queens over here, and we're going to be talking about you as a brand. But before we go into today's topic, I've got a little question for our guests, and that's all about zodiac sign. Do you guys believe in zodiac signs at all?
Well, they exist. Do I believe in them? I don't know. I don't follow them like a religion.
You don't?
I don't read them every day. Once in a while, if you see something in the paper, you might just, oh, okay, that's cute.
Have a read.
But I like the symbolism of mine. I'm a Leo. So I like what it symbolizes, to be a lion, to be strong. But I don't follow it. I know there's some people who follow it religiously.
How about you?
Yeah, I mean, there was a time, because they tend to have columns in newspapers. So sometimes I do read them, but I try not to go for the gospel of it, because I think you can get very confused in terms of you're reading it and you're expecting what they've said to happen.
Yeah.
So,
but do you find that sometimes when you find yourself reading it, you're like, that's so true. I can relate to that. Because sometimes it happens to me when I bump it. I'm like, they just said, I think that happened recently. Have you ever found that happening?
I think they get characteristics.
Exactly.
Correct?
Yeah.
But if they're saying, oh, this week you're going to find love.
It's like, I'm looking for that love.
Exactly. What I do find, it's almost like a motivational thing. So if you read it and it says you're going to do well, you'll probably work a bit harder. There's a little mindset. You're going to win the lottery. Okay.
They never say you're going to work well, but if they said you're going to win the lottery, you might get a different reaction, you know.
That's funny. Awesome. The reason I thought to ask, I know Africans generally, we don't really follow, and I thought it'd be great to ask, to find out what your thoughts are.
Very.
But you know, the interesting thing is, you might just open the newspaper tomorrow morning and the first thing you'll see will be the zodiacs. And it always says, this should be happening to you. Right, thank you so much, guys. So now let's move on to today's topic of you as a brand. Is there a more overworked word used in a dictionary than personal brand? Branding has most times been associated with companies and businesses, but these days, every individual has a digital footprint. Brand this, brand that, brand yourself is all we hear. The whole concept has officially entered the social and career cliche hall of fame, right? We're about to find out from our guests what they think about you as a brand. So over to you. Where do I start from? Should I start from Ronke? Let me start from Ronke, because I know that's what you do for a living. You're PR consultant. So let's talk about you as a brand. What does this really mean?
For me, that means putting your best foot forward, but also representing your core values, but being mindful of how society is changing as you do. So if we look at some of our favorite people in the world, favorite celebrities, I think that's the easiest way, or even for say favorite entrepreneurs, they've all had personal brands. Maybe we wouldn't know how to define them as such, but the most popular individuals who create amazing products, services, media personalities, really what the core of that is their personal brand. It's the people at the center of it. And I can give you many, many examples. Even the phones we use, I think the reason that certain phones, I'm not going to name any names because they're not endorsing or paying this time, so I'm not going to give them free advertising. The reason that certain phones do exceptionally well because the founding father was known for his core values. and that's enabled people to become receptive and almost feel like they're part of his I don't want to call it a cult, but his movement. And you want people to follow your movement. Mm-hmm. So whatever your movement is in your world, in your business, in your life, you want people to follow you. And I'm being very careful because I don't want people just to follow mindlessly, but follow your core values and follow your principles.
So yours is based on the core values and principles behind it.
It is. And authenticity.
Okay, that's good. Authenticity. Brilliant. Over to you, Buki. What are your thoughts?
I mean, I can't, because it's a bit tough coming after what she just said, because I think everything you've just said is exactly what branding is. I think the only thing I'll add to that is branding is also identity. It's your identity. So what is your identity? Who are you? If it's you as a service provider or a product, what is it? What do you have to offer? What are you saying? So that's all I can add to what you've just said. And it's identity.
And if I may add is people often try to copy others. So when it comes to personal branding, you'll see people doing very well and they try to replicate. But I love this word that the Buki's just used of identity. And I think that's where I was trying to come from when it comes to the core values and principles. So unless you're very clear about your identity, who you really are, you'll be shaken here and there.
Because you'll be trying this and trying that and trying this.
Yeah. But if you think about the people who've lasted the test, even in the midst of social media, digital technology, there's so many things that have changed over the course of time. There's certain people who have lasted that test of time, no matter what. Yeah. Even if you think about even the musicians who have passed away, interestingly enough, they've been passed away for many years, but their brands, their identity are very clear. They've stood the test of time, and their fans will still keep coming back for more because people know their identity. Yeah. They're not shapeshifters, you know?
Exactly.
That's a great word.
Example, imagine Whitney Houston doing a Migos song. Wow. It wouldn't happen. It's just, she has a brand, she has an identity. And then the Migos have an identity. So that's an example.
So that takes us nicely into the effects this has on a business, right? Because I like how you kind of gone into, Ronke, you've gone into making sure it aligns with what you believe your identity, as you've just said. Yeah. So let's talk about the effects. So now that we've talked about a little bit about how people try to copy what this person is doing, that person obviously doesn't work. What impact does that have on businesses?
That's a really good question. I think, if we talk about, so let me just be really specific. So if we talk about certain entrepreneurs, so Richard Bransons, I should say, the Oprah Winfrey's, even Donald Trump's, they've been quite consistent with their personal brands, right? So if they suddenly say something that's off character or something that isn't in alignment with who they are, that can have a really negative effect on their businesses, on everything, right? So we saw that with, for example, Kanye West. So for many years, people had a perception, maybe, that he was very much about, Black power, very much about empowerment. And as he's risen through the ranks and made more money and become more of a celebrity, he said a few things that are like, are you really for the Black empowerment movement? And we saw that whilst he's still making money, it's had a negative impact on his business, because the thing people forget with celebrities and media personalities is they are businesses as individuals.
Absolutely.
So Kanye West, as much as he's a musician, he's also a businessman. So with all the people I'm talking about, if you're consistent and even with Donald Trump, so Donald Trump's always been who he said he is. There's no surprise.
He hasn't changed, absolutely.
He hasn't, absolutely. There's absolutely. So when people are like, why is he who he's always been this way. Maybe he's not been as prolific or as animated about some of his narratives, especially when it comes to some of his negative narratives, but he's always been who he is today. And that's a consistency in his personal brand. So if you suddenly start to shift and you're one way today and then tomorrow you decide to be, a modern day Nigel Farage, for want of a better person. Yeah. So if anybody watching, if anybody doesn't know who Nigel Farage is, very much I don't even know how to describe him. A bit of
a rogue politician.
That's the West, very good. And so one day you're very good and you're loving and all hippie and love everybody, and then the next day because you see that he's getting a lot of attention, you suddenly turn into something like that. You can have a negative impact on your business and your brand.
Yeah, that's so true. Let's talk a little bit about you're hairstylist and a makeup artist as well.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the impact of that on you as a brand. How does that come in play with all of your identity and all of that?
I think those in fashion, music, anything in that sort of field, your appearance is very important. So you don't have to be glamorous, but you have to have an identity. For me, if you're a makeup artist and you don't look like it shows, you have to wear what you're selling. So my hair has to be on point. If I have awful, messy hair or nothing, and I'm saying I'm a hairdresser, the first thing people are going to look at is my hair. So you will get judged on what you say you're selling. You're a makeup artist, no makeup. I mean, if you've been doing this for a while and you have a name and you don't wear makeup, it's fine. But if you're saying and you don't look the part, it's kind of hard to sell. We live in a different time now where people judge you. You're a stylist and you have no style. It's kind of hard to sell.
This whole conversation is getting really steamy. We're just going to have to park that. Hold that thought. I've got a question coming for you. Hold that thought. And we're just going to take a break. When we come back, we'll carry on talking about you as a brand. If you have found any of our interviews or our videos interesting and engaging, click the subscribe button and also turn on your notification just to make sure you never miss a thing. And don't forget to like, comment, and also share the videos with your friends and families and get them to get involved in the conversation as well. Let's switch things up a little bit. Okay. And I'm going to switch things up really quick. So I think it was it a couple of months ago? So Buki had on her Facebook page, she had a post. And she knows how to go in on when it comes to the curvy conversations and everything. So she put a post up about Khloe Kardashian. It was a picture of her 2008 versus 2016. I think let's just watch what that looks like. Right, that's it. So what are your thoughts? Because it looks like in 2018, she was fat. And in 2016, she was seen to be hot and sexy. Now, all of this is part of personal branding, I'd like to believe, in her world. But at the same time, making people on the curvy side feel like I've got to be a certain size to fit into this whole thing about personal branding. Let's talk a little bit about that.
I think for me, I'm kind of old school. I started this in 1999. So for me, there's a lot that has transpired from then till now. And I think when I watch women now, I feel that there's so much pressure. Even with the branding, she said, be authentic. If you have a humongous nose and you want to be a makeup artist and you don't want to feel the pressure to always have to contour your nose, don't. But there's so much pressure now, the perfect nose, the perfect body, the perfect everything. So that pressure, I think, was in that picture because she wasn't big.
Absolutely.
She looked to me like a curvy size 12, which to me isn't big. But then the commentary, and now you have so many people with opinions that when that post, I saw it on social media, people underneath were like, oh my God, you were so fat. And I'm like, how is that fat? So a girl who is genuinely fat, looking at that, is looking at herself thinking, oh my God, I'm awful. I don't look good. Because she doesn't even look like 2008. Let alone 2016. So there's a pressure also that branding, there's another side that is negative from this branding that I don't know how that's going to be resolved because people are being influenced by a lot of branding. So we have to be careful, the message, because that is not fat. That is just a girl who you know. And the thing is, the real Chloe now, who has worked hard, but also has had a lot of help.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's not the same for someone who doesn't have that access.
Absolutely.
So we have to be careful about the branding and what we put out and the stories, because there are people who will tell you, oh, I've had work done. So don't think this is just, I woke up like this. I've had work done. Do you understand what I mean? So I think my rant was from, because I'm plus size. I'm plus size and I have a lot of slim, fabulous, fit clients. And I also have a lot of plus size clients. So I want to be inclusive of everyone and encourage.
And I think that's the word.
You can be
inclusive.
beautiful, whatever size.
Exactly.
And beauty is not just, I have to be, you know, because I get a lot of clients who, oh, can you contour my nose? I even have clients who are like, I want to be lighter, you know, and it kind of goes against because I'm trying to enhance your beauty, not trying to totally recreate.
Create a different
So
person.
there are times I will do it because it looks good. That's the honest truth. It does look good. But there are times I have to stop and say, look, this person has an insecurity. Talk to them. And I'll say, you know, you don't have to do this. I know it's in vogue, it's fashionable, but you look good as you are.
That's
Do you know
a
what
good
I
thing,
mean?
Yeah, that's a very good thing.
That's it.
Well done. Keep doing that. We need more of those.
As long as I don't get in trouble.
No, I don't think you will do. I think that's what we need. We need a lot more of that. Let's switch things up a little bit again. And we're going to talk about how to maintain your online presence. How to maintain your personal brand. Because that's a lot of work.
Yeah, it is.
So should I pass that over to you, Ronke, quickly,
Sure.
in literally 30
So
seconds?
yeah, I think there is so much pressure to be visible online. I think social media and technology has been a blessing. I think it can be really empowering, but you've got to use it wisely. You have to control it. You cannot allow it to control you. I think the problems occur when all these platforms start to control you and you're influenced by them. So you have to be able to manage your time effectively, use the tools that are there, be really intentional. You know, a lot of people want to become influencers overnight, buying followers, they're buying likes, they're buying comments. You can literally buy comments. And I
Oh,
feel
really?
like, yeah, you can buy everything.
Oh,
You can buy anything. It's
wow.
Yeah.
And I feel like, what's your intention therefore? Is it genuine longevity? So you can be in the business that you're in, for example, for over 20 years, as Bookie's been in, you know? So you can be sustainable and have a sustainable brand like you will be, God willing. So you have to make sure that whatever intention you have on social media is consistent. And don't get drawn and swept away by the likes and the retweets. It's great, it's good. But if you're secure in yourself, you will not need online validation to make sure that you are valuable, actually.
That is such a good way
So
to bang
true.
that topic. Like,
So true.
it's a good bang. Over to you, Bookie. Have you got anything to add to that?
How can I? She's so professional. I think for me, what's helped me is that I didn't come into this in this era of social media. I think I'd have probably been a very different type of hair and makeup artist if I started when we didn't have social media. So it was very much word of mouth and your skill and that was it. So I don't have that insecurity, and I find it actually quite uncomfortable to fully rely on. So I don't buy followers. I'm still very much under 3,000 followers. I have lost work because I don't have enough followers. So I've been approached by some celebrities and some companies and have been told, look, if you buy followers, then we will employ you, because a lot of these big brands now, there's so much competition for even them that they need someone who has a following so that you can bring in your audience. So, things have changed.
Things are still changing.
Yeah.
Let's end this on just educating people on how to ensure that they do have a personal brand going on, and they can also maintain a business brand for themselves.
So it's really, if you've got a business, you are selling products or services, you've got to be really professional, right? But if you are the founder of that business, you can still have your own personal brand. You're attracting people because of your personal brand. People like you, they want to know about you, they want to follow you. But there has to be there's got to be a clearly defined separation. Because if not, people the lines will become blurred. They'll always become blurred anyway, because I think people sometimes forget, if something happens randomly, if we look at it from a governmental perspective, if something happens in a government, it might not necessarily be the president who's done the thing, it's his minister. But because he's a president, so basically he is the brand of whatever country, Nigeria, Ghana, wherever, people are going to always blame him, right? But he has a government and ministers. He separates things to do the work. Same with your business. So yes, you are the core brand. You're a leader. You're a thought leader. You're the initiator of whatever it is you're doing. But make sure that you separate the two. And also, if something happens, for example, if you have an opinion, you don't want people to lose their jobs because of your silly opinion. So if you're tweet on your personal account, okay? And that's own it as your own personal opinion. Don't tweet from the business account, and then you're losing all your customers and your employees potentially work because of your ignorance. People might still lose interest in your brand because of it, but I would never say do things to be offensive, whatever, but I'm just saying be clear about where you're sharing your messages and have a clear, separate personal brand and business brand.
Brilliant.
I think it's really important.
One more thing before we actually wrap up this whole episode. I always like to find out what our guest pet peeves are. And you know what those are. That's one thing that you don't like. You absolutely don't like. So I'm going to start with you, Buki.
Okay, so one thing, I'll bring it from the point of view of what I do. One thing that I really have a really hard time with is when I get, a client inquiring about either a product or the pricing or whatever. And I tell them the price or, this is how long it's going to take. And then it's like comparisons. Well, why? Why is it that expensive, or why is it that price? I always feel people wouldn't do that in certain situations. You wouldn't go to Sainsbury's and ask, why is this bread £1? You see the price, it's not your thing.
Move away. Absolutely.
So I feel that there's sometimes people judge and look at you and think, well, you just giving a price off the top of your head. So why they have a right to ask why you are. And I just don't think that's right. I think it's not your thing. Fine. Look for your flavor and keep it moving.
But one thing, a really big pet peeve is, asking me questions that you could easily find for yourself online. So even if it's basic stuff like what services I offer, or even what do I do, it's just, I feel like we've talked about social media and online websites, Google, you can, and I'm not trying to be rude, but I think sometimes people like to waste time or want to have conversations because they want to make themselves feel busy, when a lot of the information is really clearly available. If you have specific questions related to you, fine. But if there's a question that could be easily answered, just spend 10 minutes on my website, on my LinkedIn. Like, there's so many. Before you go and buy a car, you do the research. And even when you go to buy the car, you look at the car, you analyze it. You don't really waste too much time, hopefully. So I feel like people like to waste time asking
irrelevant questions.
Yeah,
so time wasters for pretty much very, very close. Yeah. All right. Thank you so much, ladies, for at least we know what to do and what not to do when we meet you. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having us.
And that's it for us on today's episode. If you'd like to join the conversation, please email us at info@joemaxwellshow.com. Follow us on our social media pages at joemaxwellshow.com. Follow us with the hashtag JoeMaxwellShow or Pep Talk. Until next time, I am your host, Joe Maxwell.